So really, Anime Matsuri is the first post-COVID big convention in Houston that I can think of off the top of my head. If I'm
Sure.
wrong, Chad.
Maybe a knitting convention came through or something. Yeah. I would just love to hear what you think the outlook is looking like. So obviously this year we're kind of like the 1 year anniversary of coronavirus, and conventions got hit, super hard with it. Businesses and everything, but especially live events, right? Speaking, I know from like the esports perspective, more or less, like, no live events or anything, no tournaments, nothing, in person at least. So I would love to hear your outlook on the whole of how you think or what you hope might be happening this year, or at least going forward with the corona, with conventions and stuff.
So, as I'm sure you know, Anime Expo has been canceled. A-Kon in Dallas, which is another really big tech con, I believe they've either been canceled or they postponed, one or the other. Comic Palooza, which is another really big Houston convention, they moved to the weekend after. Really, Anime Matsuri is the first post-COVID big convention in Houston that I can think of off the top of my head.
Sure. Maybe a knitting convention came through or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But as far as I can tell, what I'm allowed to talk about,
sure, yeah.
Yes, we do have guests and big things lined up, like big plans. We never stopped planning. We did like Zoom meetings throughout the year because we were like, okay, well, like our event isn't until July. You know what I mean? Our event isn't until July, so we're gonna keep on going and chugging along because in the event that this does clear up, and it's looking like it will, before July, we want to be prepared. We don't want to like, okay, all the events, all the restrictions are lifted and you can have events now, and we're like, oh, fuck, like, what do we
didn't
do?
take it seriously. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I always got. I mean, for people who might not be in the know, and, this is something new for me having worked it at least 1 year, was that like the planning is year round. Like the convention, it's so crazy that for that weekend or 4 or 5 days of the convention, there's like hundreds and hundreds of days of planning that goes into that, right?
Even like right now, we're already planning stuff for 2022.
Jesus, we haven't even had this one.
Whenever you have an event at the scale that we have it, because we're the second largest anime convention in the United States.
Yeah.
When you have an event at that scale, 365 days just isn't enough.
Jesus.
It's just not. You know what I mean? It's not enough time. I know the big worry for this year, obviously, is coronavirus, the vaccination rollout. We want people to be vaccinated. We want people to be safe. We want people to wear masks and everything like that.
Yep.
And since I think our Achilles heel this year, if I had to say anything, would be Japan, working with the Japan side of things. Because I mentioned before, we often try to work directly with Japanese companies. We don't like working with American licensors because it's a failure point. Something that can go wrong. There can be controversy there. There can be disagreements there, and we don't want that. We want directly with Japan. And why that's our Achilles heel this year is because Japan, with their vaccinations, have not been as efficient as the United States. I think they're just getting around to vaccinating people like this month, whereas in the United States, we've been vaccinating people since January. So visas are very, very important, and they take time to file. It's bureaucracy, man. It takes time.
Gotcha. Especially now with all the measures, I'm sure it's even more annoying. It's more of a hassle.
So I would say that's our Achilles heel. We're working on it though. It's not like we're not trying. It's not like we're
planning around it.
Yeah. We're definitely going to artists like, hey, first question, if you can come, are you comfortable coming? Because if you're not comfortable, we don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste our time. We'll try again next year. No hard feelings. You know what I mean? We get it. And if they say yes, I'm interested in coming, then we work with their agents.
You will move heaven and earth.
We plan everything as if they were going to come. We're not saying if you can come, maybe we can. It's like, no, when you come, we're going to do this. And if we can't get your visa in time, sorry. And some companies like I don't know if I can say.
Companies.
Well, there's some companies that some big animation studios that some big vendors that from Japan have been very, very kind and very gracious and been like, look, even if we can't come, we trust you. Build the booth. We'll make virtual appearances in Japan. Just send us the specs, send us the blueprints. If we approve it, build it. You guys, they trust us. Which is, I mean, if you think about the consequences, that could be huge. That's a very big deal because they're trusting us to represent them at probably the only event they have a presence at in the
Right,
year. They're trusting us
right.
to represent them. You know what I mean? They're saying, hey, this company who makes this popular IP, we want to have a presence badly enough that we trust you to run things without a representative there. And that
Jeez.
is so very humbling and so very, I mean, that, not to toot my own horn,
Nah, toot that shit.
but
Toot toot.
I think that speaks a lot to the amount of professionalism that we have whenever we interact with Japanese companies in our international relations department as a whole, because I mean they trust us to represent them at the biggest event that they're going to have in the United States that year, and that's huge, and that means a lot to me, and I will not let them
You do
down.
not take it lightly, right? That responsibility is given to you, so you're gonna like step up to the plate and deliver. Yeah.
Because not only are they trusting me, I mean the fans too. You know what I mean? Like I want to put on something great for the fans. Because like, if I let them down, then the fans are gonna be pissed off at me. Like me, they're like, all right, who's in charge of international?
Jake talk on
relations
fucking
and
Twitter,
pissed
you
off-
fucking idiot.
who's in charge of international relations and pissed off company A? Let me see.
Damn.
International relations, Anime Matsuri. Oh shit. You know, here they. Oh boy, they coming.
I'll be
You know
the
what I mean?
first to. So, in case anyone wanted to know, at JTaka dropped the ball. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome. No,
It's not exclusively me, but I'm sure I'll get the.
I got your Twitter, so it's you. No, that's good. I mean, it's definitely like one of those things that's interesting. I didn't actually know about, or at least hadn't been keeping up with the Anime Expo stuff, and then the local like cons and them getting pushed back. So I'm like fingers crossed, hopeful that basically I'm fingers crossed hopeful, because it would mean that the vaccinations and everything are going well, which is a net positive for humanity, right? So like I'm hopeful for that. So, I'm very much fingers crossed for the AM family, because it's big, and I know that y'all are big on like, with all the craziness going on, trying to have some semblance of normalcy, or like, trying to do the best you can with the circumstances, right? So like masks, hand sand and everything, which I'm sure, y'all were already planned that out probably like a year back or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Actually, since the George R. Brown is owned by the city, they handle a lot of that. We put up sanitation stations. We have requirements and everything like that, which we're grateful for. That's less work that we have to do.
No, I'm super fingers crossed for y'all. I am. I hope it does go well.
Things will go wrong. Things will go wrong. They always do. At an event this scale, not everything can go perfectly. Panels will be postponed. Guests will be late to things, and not everything goes perfect. But
Yeah. I'll say one thing. Part of the reason why I actually went to go volunteer for Anime Matsuri that year that I wanted to go volunteer was because I wanted to kind of like give back to the fact that I had been going to so many different conventions and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I want to finally just like volunteer, see what it's like, and help out, right? And I was like dumbfounded by the amount of like the logistics that go into, obviously, Anime Matsuri is giganto, but the logistics that go into everything and all the moving parts. So the one thing I say to people out there, if they ever try to shit on a convention for anything, please volunteer next year and see all of the hard work that goes into running some kind of operation, because that's like eye-opening for me to see everything.
oh yeah, it's hard work. It really is. So big shout out if there are any of our volunteers watching, buddy, you have my utmost respect and my admiration, because it's hard work. It really is. It's genuinely hard work.